Hi guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Philosophy Culture. Thank you for being here with us. And I'm sitting here as always with my dude Castin. What's up?
What's up, dude meals? Yeah, we're always sitting here, so no more comments. How are you doing?
24/7. I'm good.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about you?
I'm doing fine as well. Yeah.
Perfect. And today, what are we gonna talk about?
We'll talk about investing and how different companies, or we will actually be focusing on startups today. So how different startups can raise money,
Yeah.
and we will go through, for example, angel investing, venture capital, and private equity, and
Yeah.
many more.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah,
Hey, check it out.
check it out.
Different ways companies can, I guess, get funding, right?
Exactly. Yes.
That's our topic today.
Exactly. And so the general question.
Right.
Yeah, all right. So why did we choose this topic?
Well. Uh, it's good to know, I guess,
Yeah.
to get further insight into how companies work and the business world is functioning, and yeah. That's kind of where my curiosity lies. Basically, based on those things, to be honest. Yeah, it's fun to know these things.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, no, I think that we have some good concepts and some things to learn from this episode, to be honest. Right. So we will go through some words, concepts, more concepts, I would say, uh, and different types of raising funds, which I think fits very well to our quarter. So yeah, I think that would be my my answer.
Right,
And
right,
and
right.
then we haven't gone through this we haven't looked at businesses from this side or this perspective, so to say. So we have, for
Right.
example, looked at right, we have looked at stocks and so on, but we haven't looked at uh yeah, maybe racing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. This is
No, but
getting
that's true. That's true for sure.
yeah,
This is a different perspective.
yeah,
We haven't talked about how companies can like get funding, and I guess it is still an aspect of investing.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah,
So I think it's a good type of episode to include into our season. So yeah,
so good.
coolio. Then do you want to start? Do you want to kick this off? What's your first ways? What's your first way companies can get funding?
Well, if we go through the list that we discussed earlier before we started the podcast, that would be the personal investors, right?
Well, I was more so thinking about like different ways. Well, well, that is a way. Okay. Yeah, let's go with that one.
Yeah.
I had like a different thing in my head, but
I
yeah.
mean, go ahead if you were thinking about something else, because we
No,
can
no,
go
no, no,
into
no. It's good. So wait, you said angel investors? No, private,
personal investors. Yeah.
personal. Yeah,
But when it comes to personal investors, it's kind of a broad term. It's a broad word, um, broad concept, right? So
yeah.
in this case, do we talk about personal investors in the form of, selling shares, or just personal investors like family and friends?
Well, I would assume it's more family and friends
Okay, yeah,
because I don't really see shareholders, even though they are small investors, like personal, like individual investors. But it's like when when the company has like gone through the IPO process and like is a relatively big or a significant company.
yeah.
So
Okay, yeah.
I don't think those personal investors then plays like such a big role. Like if they aren't like super many of them, of course.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. All right. Cool. So personal investors then, as then we're talking about family and friends, and this would obviously occur, or I would say that most of the time occur in the first year, years, months of the business, right?
Yeah.
Or yeah, in the beginning of the business. And yeah, nothing more to add on that. Actually, it's just what it is. But I mean, we could go through some pros and cons of it, uh, just randomly.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
so I don't know. Do you find any pros or cons about it?
Well, the thing that comes to my mind is this movie called Founders, and it's this movie that is um, showing you how Ray Kroc built his McDonald's empire, and ah, it doesn't really have to do with like personal investors per se, but like I still see, Ray Kroc as being like the is being so extreme. He's like mortgaging his house for his entrepreneurial pursuits, and I can see that being the case where I don't know, maybe the entrepreneur is pushing the personal investors, especially if it is family and friends, to maybe um yeah, it's gonna push the limit, so to say, as to how much the investor can invest. Uh, yeah, and that can maybe create like this tension in the relationships.
Yeah,
That kind of that is kind of the first idea that popped up in my mind.
yeah, yeah. I would say like a positive side of this would be that it could be easy to get some money. You know,
Yeah,
it's like money that you could get easily without having to take a bank loan, and you know you could just borrow from a friend or so. Uh, on the other side, as you said, it will kind of create a sort of a tension in the relationship, especially if you borrow a large amount of money.
yeah,
And another thing that would be negative is that you can't actually raise so much money from your friends and family, depending on, yeah, I mean, sure, if you are from a billionaire or millionaire family, then you could. But I'm talking more of a uh,
most
average
of
Joe.
most of us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like more of a yeah average person um,
Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
Yeah. So those are the things that I can come up with, at least.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, I would like to highlight the beautiful side of it. Like it can even maybe strengthen the relationship as well. It depends on the relationship itself. But I think maybe if you uh, bring a person that you get along with nicely, then it can maybe even benefit your relationship since the investor that you have asked money from gets his skin in the game, right? And since you're like kind of involved into the same project, it can maybe yeah. Also strengthen the relationship. It doesn't always have to be negative, but I would assume most of the time it can maybe result in the negative aspect, but it doesn't have to be.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Um,
Yeah, should we
yeah.
go to the next one?
Yes, please.
All right. Um, then I would like to bring up the individual bootstrapping to kind of source the or get the funding yourself. Like I don't know, tap into your savings or yeah, I guess that is basically the core concept of it to save up some money yourself through work and so on. So that's basically that.
Yeah.
And some benefits or some pros and cons would be well kind of the same as you mentioned in the previous example, that you can maybe necessarily get super large, like super big amounts of money, super large amounts of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. uh, and also that it maybe can be time consuming until you save up to that certain amount. Yeah. Do you have any
I mean, you mentioned Ray Kroc, and that's also a very good example that you can fall on the other side of the sort of saving, uh, in the way that you're just selling off everything you got and put it all into the business, which could eventually be more of a unhealthy. It could put you in an unhealthy sort of situation or relationship to your own business. Uh, because as we have seen from our episodes that we did previously, about all of those founders and so on, they treat their businesses as their babies. Uh,
yeah.
I would say most of them at least, and they put a lot of time and effort and money into it. Uh, and so yeah, I think it can become a bit. How should I
Toxic
say?
or
Yeah, well, toxic. It depends from which side you see it, right? Because it could become toxic to your friends and family in the sense that,
I'm not sure really what you mean, actually. I'm not really sure where you are heading at the moment.
no, I was talking about savings and putting all of your savings into the
Yeah.
business. Yeah. And I was just thinking that, it could end up that you sell everything you got, put it in the business, and then you go bankrupt.
Okay. Okay.
So that would be a negative side of it. I mean, if it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but on the positive side, you know, high risk, high reward, right?
Yeah, 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 for
So
sure.
yeah, I don't remember. I think it was Elon Musk that he was just on the edge of going bankrupt with. I don't remember if it was Tesla or SpaceX, but he just sold a company, if I'm not mistaken, and he invested I think he sold PayPal or something, and invested an amount in Tesla, which was just on the edge of bankruptcy, and then
Right.
an amount in SpaceX,
Yeah.
and he managed eventually to grow this empire. Uh,
Oof.
but that was kind of risky though. But
Right.
he chose to, basically
Yeah,
go
he's
on
a
that.
beast. He's a beast.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be fun to make an episode about him as well, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but yeah. Next one.
Next one. Well, next one would be angel investors.
Yeah.
And angel investors. This would be so if we look at the perspective that we have a business, then we would earn or raise money or capital from an angel investor, which would be an investor that, uh, yeah, just invests money in startups,
Right, all right.
invests his own savings and yeah, funds in startups.
Mm-mm.
Uh, so that would that's what it is.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
And I guess some pros and cons would be that, well, a pro, a good thing would be that, yeah, I assume you would get like more guidance from that person. Because what I've heard from the Founders podcast is that it seems like the angel investor relationship can be like a bit like more personal, and that you can get advice, and like it can sometimes even become like this mentoring relationship thing. So I love that aspect of it, and I'm not sure why it is called angel investing, but angel seems like a fitting word. So yeah. So I like that. So that would be a ben or like a good thing. Uh, I'm I'm not really sure like if there are any significant uh cons to it that I initially can think of. Maybe I'm not sure. Uh, because I think angel investors are more focused on the like the return on their ROI, right? Uh, more than owning equity of the company, but I guess that depends from that depends on the investor.
yeah,
But I would assume that's mostly the case that they just want to exponentially or like get return on their investment, so to say.
yeah, yeah. No, I would agree. So a big positive side would be that you would have somebody that you could ask for advice, a sort of mentor, as you said. Um, and yeah, it just makes me think of what was that show called again? Shark,
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, exactly. Yes, that would be. I think those are a good example of angel investors, among other thing, right? Because there are usually startups going to that show, presenting and pitching their idea. Uh,
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, yeah, I guess they would. I guess they would maybe count as angel investors, but I don't know. They always seem so greedy since they all always want like the most amount. Like, I don't know. They want to like get a significant portion of the company, like of the equity.
yeah, the
So
real it's
it wasn't like purely. It wasn't purely value based, so to say.
yeah.
I assume. I don't know. Yeah.
But it's on the other hand, it makes sense that they want a big part of the company and that, angel investors will, you will have to sell some shares of your company to those investors, right? Because they will give you money. They will invest in your company, but they will basically buy some of your shares. So that could be a negative side of it because you will basically sell a part of your company. Uh, you
Is
have you have a
is that how
question?
it works?
Yeah.
Because I'm not totally like sure about all these um but it makes sense though, like because I don't know how would it otherwise really work, because I was like saying before that it can I was thinking that could be like purely value based, but like what does that really look like? So I guess but I don't know. Like, couldn't a investor just invest in the company and not own any equity and still get like arrange some sort of a deal or model that would still result in.
I would say that's more of a loan to a company.
Okay, okay, okay. Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Because I was also, yeah, we'll probably go through this, but I think we could go through this at the same time. You know, just raising capital or yeah, raising capital from banks or from loans. And that, in a sense, is more ad, advan,
Advantageous.
advantageous because you don't have to sell any of your stocks, right, to somebody else. So from that perspective, you will still own your entire company, but you will be in debt to the bank or to the
Right.
lender.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and then on the other side, if you yeah, if you have an angel investor that is investing in your company, it is usually that you have to sell some stock, right? At
I don't
least
know.
that's what I think. That's what
Right,
I
right,
think.
right, right.
Yeah,
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense.
yeah,
I'm not sure how it would look like otherwise, to be honest, even though I had this assumption, uh, yeah, just now that it could be purely value based, whatever that means, but and not equity based, I guess, is what I was thinking about. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I assume these investors will like always want to have some equity
yeah.
that they, yeah, buy, I guess. Yeah.
And especially in the early stages of the business, right? Because yeah, I think Gary Vee said something about this. That the first 70% of all of the businesses go bankrupt in the first year of, or I don't know, there was some statistical
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
facts, right?
I've also heard, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there were a lot of businesses that went bankrupt in the first year. Uh, and you know, it makes sense that the investors want to have more control, and especially if you look at Shark Tank, it also makes sense again that they want such a big share of the company in order to be in control of the whole thing and make sure that everything works as smooth as possible. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oof, that's yeah, well, I guess that's a thing
that's
you
like,
have to be prepared to do.
yeah, yeah. And I've seen that some people are like, yeah, so in the beginning, I will sell 40% of my shares to you. However, if we manage to surpass the threshold of, let's say, 4 million in a revenue the second year, then you will sell me back 20%,
All right.
for example. So there are so many agreements that you could do and so many different, yeah, ways of actually raising money.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, well, I've heard a lot about that, like within the real estate uh space, that once you find like a good deal, people a lot of times are really creative in how they raise the money and so on. So yeah, yeah. I guess that's true. I guess that's true.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty.
Good. So wait, did you say angel investors, or was it me? I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Well, we jumped from angel investors into banks, right?
Yeah, exactly. Into banks and financial institutions. That's true because they were kind of it was
Overlap.
yeah, exactly. It was good to sort of connect those two, or at
Okay.
least when it comes to looking at the different sides of them.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. All right. So now we have angel investors and the banks. I guess we can. I guess it's fitting to bring up venture capitalists since um, from what I've heard, those like the angel investor and the venture capitalists are kind of two terms words I've heard a lot, and I've never been sure what they mean. But basically, so a venture capitalist is a investor that offers capital to startups that they are believed to having like a long-term potential, right? So, uh, and I don't know. Wait, so venture capitalists are normally investment banks, well-off investors, and any other financial institutions. So there you go. So we have investment banks and wealthy investors and other financial institutions. Even though this is a risky way for investors to put in their funds, a successful payoff is worth it. Right. And so this seems to me the most corporate, the most soulless way to gonna, or maybe it's gonna at the same level as the banks, I guess. Since you don't get any like a mentorship, I assume it's kind of what it sounds like uh, to me at the moment. And yeah, so that's my comment about that. And I guess that would be a con as well. That you miss out on the uh, mentoring aspect of it, even though I assume you still could get some advice here and there, like but yeah, it isn't that personal, I would assume.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that some companies that I think that some companies can also offer some advisory and let's say, and that wouldn't be mentoring. But wait, we're talking about startup. We're talking about the startup stage, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, then okay, yeah, don't mind about what I said. Uh yeah.
It's only relevant to the big guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was thinking about the big sharks, but
Yeah.
yeah, then it doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't have so many comments on that, actually.
Yeah. Um, turn to equity. Right. So they exchange equity again. Ba, 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 ba. And yeah, yeah. I don't have anything more to add either. Uh, what's the next one?
Yeah, I just found like a nice picture explaining venture capital versus private equity.
All
And they
right.
basically, yeah, and they basically said that look, venture capital is like looking for innovative startups, and venture capitalists are looking for innovative startups. Will usually invest in exchange for a small amount of equity in the business.
Yeah.
That could be a pro. And they usually spread their risk by investing in many different businesses. Uh, so that could, yeah, yeah.
Right, right, right.
And when it comes to private equity, it's like they're looking for more established and traditional businesses in need of help. And I think here we're looking for the mid, a business that has come like some way up, so to say,
Right.
uh, and will invest in exchange for a majority stake in the business and focus on fewer investments at one time. Okay. So venture capital is looking venture capital investors are looking more for like small stakes, but in multiple businesses. Meanwhile, private equity is looking for big stakes in fewer companies.
Right, right, right. Okay, okay. But
Yeah.
private equity, I don't think I have that in my list actually somehow. Or no, or wait, it's private equity, bro. I don't know, man. But how would you define private equity investors? Like, are they also like are they kind of the same as the venture capitalists, or that it is like institutions that
I mean, there could be institutions,
okay,
right? So yeah, sure. It could be institutions. So, for example, as I mentioned, so venture capitalists would be they invest in more of a early stage businesses,
right?
uh, and they invest. I mean, they take a small percentage or a small amount of the stock, uh, and invest in multiple businesses. Meanwhile, private equity they're looking for already established businesses where they take like a bigger portion,
Yeah,
and yeah,
right, right, right.
usually owns less businesses. But that could be an entity, right? That could be like, for example, um, a company that invests in other companies.
You mean private equity?
Yeah.
All right. That's a good segue. How would you then separate between private equity and corporate investors, or is that, or are those two terms kind of interchangeable? Google, help us.
Corporate. Yeah, because we looked up and we saw that corporate investors, those could be basically other companies acquiring other companies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That would be a mother entity or a mother. How would you say this?
Conglomerates?
No,
No?
no. Oh, yeah, it slipped. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
but yeah, that would be basically a bigger entity acquiring a subsidiary or and so on.
Right.
Uh, for example.
Yeah. Intéressant, intéressant.
Yeah, I think there could be some other details, you know,
Right.
which could separate those two. Um, but yeah,
Okay. Well, anyway, I think we can just keep it in mind that private equity and corporate investors maybe is really closely related, or even are the same thing. I don't know.
yeah. Here I got the private equity versus venture capital. So private equity is sometimes confused with venture capital because both refer to firms that invest in companies and exit by selling their investments in equity financing, for example, by holding initial public offerings.
Right.
IPO.
IPOs.
However, there are significant differences in the way firms involved in the two types of funding conduct businesses. So private equity and venture capital invest in different types and sizes of companies and commit different amounts of money and claim different percentages of equities in the companies in which they invest. That's what we said.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah.
Oh. Yeah, okay. Uh, all right. Uh, then I guess we can just jump to corporate investors then, right?
Yeah.
I'm still not sure about the differences. Uh, but yeah. Anyway, so maybe the thing that uh, distinguishes corporate investors from the rest of the crew is that um, crew crew of investors is that they can like or many of these investors can launch like these programs like accelerator and incubator programs that help, I guess, yeah, build new startups, new companies to help them take off. And yeah, I guess that's also a way to get some smaller companies underneath, right? Because I assume they own a significant, or I'm not sure if they are programs. I don't know. Maybe they own like a significant portion of the startup already, right? Or I'm not sure how like hands-on they are.
You talk about the incubator and accelerator programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like those are more of a program for you as a startup owner that you could sort of access and raise capital through those programs. So it's more,
So it's like a more of a crowd funding aspect to it.
yeah, I mean, it's a program, so I don't think you can't say that you are an incubator or you are an accelerator.
No, for sure. Like yeah,
Yeah,
they're like programs for sure. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, as you said, I mean, through those programs, you could access, for example, crowdfunding or, get in touch with different investors and, mentors and so on.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. And it feels like the incubators are more for like actual startups, like, you know, they are more suitable for persons that are trying to get from the idea from their thoughts and the paper to actually putting it in practice and actually opening up this
Yeah.
startup. Meanwhile, accelerator programs are more for already already established businesses, maybe
Hmm.
still in the startup phase, maybe, but more looking for growth and yeah, increasing profitability, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Mm.
Yeah. And I just found a difference, or I just found a difference. I found a maybe easier way to understand the private equity versus corporate investment.
Yeah.
But it feels like corporate investment is more focused towards companies. So here we're talking about corporates, like companies that are investing in other or acquiring other companies. Okay,
Wait. So that is
corporate investing.
okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's a corporation investing in other
That's
company.
like basically Bernard Arnault, right? Like kind of investing into other already established companies to well, he does it in a more of a predatory way, but the concept is maybe
That would be
kind of the same.
LVMH, who is the corporate investor.
Yeah,
Yeah. And if Bernard Arnault would do it alone, he would be called a private equity investor.
right, right. Thank you for yeah, yeah. That was good. All right.
Yeah, if I have understood it correctly. But I
Yeah.
mean, a company could also be called a private equity investor in the sense that, it acquires a large amount of the shares and of the stock of another company.
Meanwhile, the corporate investor doesn't do that.
Yeah, the corporate. So I think the whole thing between private equity and the corporate is that the corporate is solely focusing on the corporations, only on the businesses. Meanwhile,
Unlike established companies.
yeah. So here we're
Right.
looking at yeah. So it's only a business that could be called a corporate investor.
Right.
Meanwhile, when it comes to private equity investors, it could be both a person and a company, I think.
Okay.
That acquire that acquire. Okay, what did I?
No, no, no. Like I'm just lost. Keep talking.
No, but let me know what is unclear so I can explain it again.
Well, I'm not sure about the investment strategy. Like, how do they differ? Because now you said that corporate investors are big companies that invest in other established companies, and then private equity investors can be both individuals and companies that also are they focused on startups? No.
Not necessarily startups. No, 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 no. I wouldn't say so. I would say venture capitalists are focused most on startups.
Right.
Meanwhile, private equity is more of focusing on established businesses.
Okay.
But they are looking to take a bigger portion of the stocks.
Okay. Then corporate.
Oh, corporate is just a business that they acquire other businesses.
You, you
So,
just
so it could be like corporate investment and private equity could be almost the same thing. But I don't think you can call a person as a corporate investor, right? Because corporate investments is only
okay.
made for corporations. Meanwhile,
Okay.
private equity could be done both by private equity investments could be done both by persons and entities.
Okay. Okay.
No.
Okay. I'm good. I'm good. Let's move on. I will figure this shit out after the podcast. I'm too dumb for this shit, man.
No, no, maybe it's just me who can't explain things.
No, no, no. It's cool. Okay, then next one that we haven't mentioned is peer-to-peer lending. And we also have, and then like it's kind of close to crowdfunding, but that there is like this difference where crowdfunding is basically this single website or yeah, it's the single place where you try to promote that single website or I think it's mostly websites, and you try to get as many people to kind of donate or yeah contribute funds to that project or business. Meanwhile, peer-to-peer lenders are like it's mostly done through like platforms, and those people who lended the money specifically like lend it to then gain profit on that money that they have loaned. to that project or company. So there's like more of this. Well, yeah, crowdfunding can also be done in a similar matter where you uh, want to get a return on your investment, but um, yeah, that's kind of one of the differences, though. That I think crowdfunding is more most of the times more generous in a way, and yeah, that's kind of that's what's up. And also, well, yeah, exactly. So it's one centralized donation page when it comes to crowdfunding. And peer-to-peer lending, it relies on the individual donation pages. So it's a lot of other pages. It's more spread out. And it's hosted by organizations. Meanwhile, crowdfunding can be hosted by organizations and individuals. Um, so, yeah, that's kind of. That's
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Good.
Uh, what more do we have actually? Uh, we have brought up crowdfunding, bank loans, angel investors, capture venture capital. I have forgot to mention credit cards. Um, that's an option as well. That's an option as well.
Credit cards.
Yeah, yeah. Credit cards are usually the easiest option for getting money, but they come with a high cost for the capital. Yeah, for the capital. Since credit card interest rates tend to be high. The good news is that they are flexible. Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Uh, that's all I got for today, folks.
Yeah.
Do you wanna yeah say something more about the private equity, or you did some?
Yeah, you know, private equity. I'll go back to private equity. No, but no. No, I don't have anything more to add, honestly. Uh, as I said, no, I don't.
Okay. Do you have something more to add when it comes
Bro,
to peer
no.
and crowdfunding?
Crowdfunding? No, I don't have anything else. Did you also go through the I was reading about private equity, but did you also go through did you also go through the different ways of crowdfunding? Because we also talked about the donation, and all kind of ways. But I don't know if that's necessary because that would be a subtopic.
Well,
But I
I
mean,
guess it's good to bring up like right now I presented the crowdfunding as a more of a generous way of getting capital, but since to me it seems like that's how it's mostly done as far as much as I've heard at least. But then there is like you said, are other types of crowdfunding, like where, and I think I even mentioned that to myself, that it can be like, I forgot the specific names they were called, but like, I don't know, where you basically want to get a return on your investment, so to say, or the money that you have loaned uh, through crowdfunding. But to me, it mostly seems like crowdfunding is like more donations. It isn't like necessarily people who are seeking to get a return on their money. Because we have like sites like GoFundMe, GoFundMe, uh, that function in this way that people can just set up this. I don't know. I've actually never gone into that website, But yeah, where people basically ask for donations for a specific cause. So that's a type of donation-based crowdfunding. Whereas peer-to-peer lending is, yeah, strictly business focused, where the individuals that uh, loan the money basically function as mini banks, right? They want to get a certain amount of I guess interest on their money, on their capital that they have loaned or yeah, given out, and so on. So yeah, that's kind of the main difference in my current knowledge.
Yeah. I think crowdfunding is talking for itself almost. I mean, the name is very straightforward.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Getting or raising funds and capital from the crowd.
exactly.
And yeah, as you said, it could either work as an investment or as a donation. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's what's up.
that's what's up.
Now we have gone through ways how companies can get their hands on some money, and yeah, uh, now we are a bit more knowledgeable about that.
I just have a one last question.
Shoot.
Yeah, so if you would have had a startup, through which way would you have gone to raise capital?
Actually, I would actually prefer uh, angel investors, since I would really love to have this more personal relationship with the person. So I would really value that, since I think that kind of brings the most benefits as well. Since if you compare, I don't know, well, I guess other types of investors can offer the same thing, or maybe like I don't think crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending can broaden your network for your company per se, or maybe yeah, not as yeah naturally, so to say, organically.
I think incubators can, incubator programs.
Right. But yeah, I think for me at the moment, angel investors sounds as the best choice actually, especially if yeah, if I look up to that investor, to that person. So that's kind of where I am standing. What about you?
Oh, hmm. Yeah. I think I would probably go with some bootstrapping in the beginning, just to
Well, for sure,
just
yeah,
to
yeah,
start. And then I would probably it would be interesting to also go through an incubator program that should just to, uh network with some other founders and
yeah,
just to get into it and try to shape or and reshape your idea and then put it into action.
right,
Simply. And then yeah, as you said, angel investors would be really nice too,
yeah.
as the third step. But yeah, I think that if you have or if you are enrolling into yeah, so if you're enrolling into the right incubator program, I think you can get a lot out of it too. Uh, especially if they help you with or yeah, if you have access to a open network of other, founders and investors and you know,
Right.
the big community to actually um, bounce your thoughts with.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, then I think it could be very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I've never actually heard about incubator programs as such. So, but yeah, it's sounds interesting
Yeah.
for sure.
All right. So thank you guys for listening to Philosophy Culture's episode today. We hope you enjoyed it and got some more knowledge about investing and how startups can raise funds, uh, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we also hope it helped you navigate life's spin.
for sure. And yeah, uh, let us know in the comments how your company, if you have a company, how did you fund it? We would really like to know. And yeah, if you have any suggestions how we could improve this podcast of ours, let us know. Also, like the video, subscribe so we can grow together on this journey of life. And yeah, have a good day, good night. Until next time.
Adios.